All right, next up is another new Big Ten school from last year. That is the Washington Huskies right now. Obviously, Washington made it all the way to the national title game in 2023, but regression was expected in 2024. After all, they lost 3 first-round picks from that offense in Michael Penix Jr., Rome Odunze, and Troy Fautanu. And head coach Kalen DeBoer left to take over the vacated Alabama job. Jedd Fisch took over for Kalen DeBoer, and he coached Washington to a 6-7 record this past season. There's some optimism for improvement, though, in 2025, Dalton, because they have 3 potential superstars on offense in Damon Williams Jr. at quarterback, in running back Jonah Coleman, and in wide receiver Denzel Boston.
If they can block enough, just enough on that offensive line, this could be an extremely fun offense because Williams – we'll get more into Williams, but he was one of the most intriguing quarterbacks I've watched this offseason. Jonah Coleman's a stud. You talk about the physicality and what he can bring in the run game and the attitude he brings. And then Denzel Boston, to me, has got a lot of Jaden Higgins in him. He's got the big body. He's got solid speed, but he's a really good route runner with great hands. I think you're talking about a skill group, especially if Williams shows even more of what he did last year. And Jedd Fisch sure knows how to coach quarterbacks. This becomes one of the most interesting offenses in this conference, but they just need to block enough, don't they?
Yeah, that offensive line has got to get a lot better. That offensive line was a major issue last year. 50.9 offensive line grade in 2024, the second worst in the Power 4, second worst pass blocking grade in the Power 4, and they were 106th in the country in run blocking grade 2. They also lost 3 starters from their offensive line from last year, and neither of the incoming transfers had a 70 PFF grade last year too. So it was a great offensive line in 2023, bigger than why they made it all the way to the national title game that year. 2024, it became one of the worst in the country, and it doesn't look like it'll get too much better this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's something they're going to have to either just get better and develop on the inside, or they're going to have to work around it. The one thing I do like, and I think with the whole offseason under his belt, is that Damon Williams under Jedd Fisch. Jedd Fisch, and we saw this with Noah Fifita at Arizona, really good at getting his quarterbacks to throw on time. It's why he brought in Will Howard as a veteran transfer last year before Williams took the job at the end of the year. But Fisch wants his guys to throw the ball on time. He wants to help his offensive line when it comes to not having to pass protect for 4.5 seconds. So I think that is a big advantage, having Jedd Fisch as their head coach and calling plays, but it definitely has to get better up front in order to take another step of competing at the top of the conference.
Tell me more about Damon Williams, though, Dalton. True freshman last year, and I believe, actually, if you make the snap count minimum, like 250 snaps, he was easily the highest graded true freshman quarterback last year with over an 80 PFF grade.
I'll tell you what, he's an athlete. He's got a high ceiling.
Yeah.
And I think when you're talking about the only little bit of time that he played last year, he had to start against Oregon, over an 80 PFF grade. He had to start against Louisville, solid team, over an 80 PFF grade. And I think what you look at is 2 things. One, a dynamic athlete. 63 carries on the ground. 21 forced missed tackles, okay? 105 pass attempts, 6.3% big-time throw rate. You drop that minimum down to that 100, highest big-time throw rate in the Big Ten. You're talking about a guy who's got a lot of tools. He's a little bit undersized, not quite Kyler Murray size, a little bigger than that, but he's got a similar skill set where you go, man, he can make big throws down the field. He's not afraid to improvise on the outside. He's a dangerous runner. Damon Williams is one of the most intriguing quarterbacks, I think, that I watched this offseason. And if he's exactly what I think about with what Jedd Fisch did with Noah Fifita, is if you can get him to throw on time more often and then allow him to not rely on the playmaking ability so much, this is a dangerous football player. Now, the weaknesses, 157 dropbacks. He's holding the football too long. 22 sacks. He's getting sacked on 1 out of every 7 dropbacks last year. Can't have it. A lot of that is on him. Now, the offensive line is not good either, but he's holding the ball too long. He's got to get rid of it. 3.2 second average time to throw. So he's undersized. I'd like to see him take a few less hits. There's sometimes when he's trying to squeeze every yard out of every run, and at 5'11 and 190, I don't need you taking every hit in a Big Ten schedule, but I'm telling you, this is a fun player, because if Fisch can get him to run the fundamental parts of the offense like he got with Fifita 2 years ago when Noah Fifita was really good in Arizona in 2023, This is going to be fun to watch, because he's going to be a big part of the running game too, and that opening up for Coleman. Williams as a read option threat.
Oh yeah,
He's as an athlete, he's a problem.
Some of those plays in the Sun Bowl against Louisville were unreal. What he did in that game.
He is outside the pocket and out on the move and in the run game. He's a serious issue. I think he just needs to bring the time to throw down a bit. But again, him having Jed Fish as his coach is going to be a huge advantage for his development.
Shout out our guy, Mitch Kaiser, huge fan, Damon Williams Jr.
Yeah, he's a huge fan. He thinks he's the next Kyler.
And I mean, listen, he looked great last year. And we talk a lot about Dylan Raiola and Julian Sayin in this episode and DJ Lagman last episode. Do not forget about Damon Williams Jr. in that true freshman quarterback class, now true sophomores going into next year. I think Damon Williams Jr. could be with them, if not better than them, in terms of who the best quarterbacks in college football in that class. So big fan of him and also a huge fan of Jonah Coleman, the star running back for Washington right now. He has been one of college football's best runners since he arrived on the scene 3 years ago in college football. Across his 2 years at Arizona and one with Washington, 95.4 career PFF rushing grade, tying for 5th among all running backs in the country over the last 3 years. No other returning running back is in the top 15 of that grading. So incredible player, bowling ball at 5'9", 229 pounds, quicker feet than you'd expect for someone that size too. Averaged 4.6 yards after contact per attempt over the last 2 years, third among all running backs in the country, 35% force miss tackle rate over the last 2 years, tied for second among Power 4 running backs. Pretty good receiver, too. He has 509 yards after the catch since 2023, 15th among Power 4 running backs in that span. You mentioned before, Dalton, he and Damon Williams Jr. as a read option in that offense should be a lot of fun with maybe a first-round receiver, too, and Denzel Boston. If that offensive line can hold up, this offense can be incredibly, incredibly dangerous next year.
I've mentioned already the advantage of having Fish running your offense, but there's also an advantage to having, I've talked about this on the NFL show with Trevor about when you watch Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels, when you have a quarterback that is that mobile and is that much of an option threat, it's one less guy you have to block in an offense. And that's the difference between this team even early last year with Will Rogers as the quarterback. He was a non-threat as a runner. Now you're making people freeze. You're making the defense space out a little bit. You're making linebackers widen out a little bit. So the power of Coleman between the tackles and the speed of Williams out on the edge, that could be a really dangerous dynamic. Even if they're just a mediocre team blocking up front, that option threat with the two of them is going to be fantastic to watch.
And Dawn, one guy who had kind of a down year in 2024 without Jed Fish as head coach, but with Jed Fish in 2023, we thought this guy could be a first-round pick at cornerback, is Tacario Davis.
Yeah, you look at Tacario Davis and you watch a 2023 tape, 6'4", incredibly long arms. I mean, the only comp you can come up with really is Tariq Woolen, right? Who's a star, obviously, in the NFL. And everything kind of dropped off the table last year. Now everything dropped off the table last year when Fish left Arizona on the whole. They lost Coleman. They lost Michael Wiley. They lost everything except for Noah Fafita and Tedero McMillan and Tacario Davis. And Davis, I'll be honest, watching his tape again, I thought maybe after the first few games, to me it felt like he looked disinterested. Like he knew what was going on in that program, and maybe he knew he was going to leave, and maybe knew he was going to leave and go to Jed Fish.
Remember, he entered the portal last year and stayed at Arizona.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
I think he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
When you watch a 2023 tape, you go, that's a top 5-6 corner in the country, and he's a freak at 6'4", right? I thought his tape last year. You obviously don't want to. You want to see guys compete. Yeah. Right, every week. But I thought he looked disinterested. I thought it was that maybe that part of it is when he was pondering leaving.
Yeah, and stayed.
If maybe he
had
was
some remorse
maybe a little bit. So get him back with Jed Fish, right? Get him. Ryan Walters now coming in as a defensive coordinator, and we know what Purdue did, running all that man coverage, which should be right up Davis's alley. I think there could be a bounce back here for Tacario Davis because Ryan Walters is a DC, because they're going to get aggressive on the back end. And if you're not using Tacario Davis in press man coverage, I'm not really sure what you're doing because he's a 6'4" freak who can do that. I'm gonna let the 24 tape go. And go the optimistic route and go, I think he's in a place now where he wants to be.
And if he does, that's a first-round pick in 2026.
It very well could be. I mean, he's a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't get guys. It's him. It's Tariq Woolen. Siobhan Revel was close, but not quite this big. I mean, he's 6'4", and he can legitimately impress. Man, 2 years ago, you weren't getting off him. He was awesome. So I think I'm gonna go the optimist route and go, okay, he's back with his old head coach. We're going to be a little bit better with Tacario Davis in 2025.
Over-under is set at 7.5 for Washington right now. Will they go over or under that win total, Dawn, in 2025?
Oof.
I'm going to go over. I like the potential that they have. I think Damon Williams Jr. is a rising star at quarterback. Jonah Coleman is one of the best running backs in America. Denzel Boston could be a first-round pick at wide receiver. The O-line has major holes, yes, but there's a lot of talent in that offense. I think Takara Davis could bounce back defensively too. That schedule is manageable. I see 4 games. I'm like, okay, they probably should lose that game, but other than that, I think they probably will be favored in every other game. I think 7.5. I'll just take the over and say probably an 8-4 year for the Washington Huskies.
They'll be looking for revenge in the Apple Cup for sure. If they get that 3-0,
you got Ohio State,
maybe Maryland, Purdue, UCLA. I would take them over UCLA right now, but I mean, yeah, I think you can take an over and take. Is it 7.5 or 8?
7.5.
Doesn't leave you a whole lot of room for error either.
No,
but they're getting a lot of. They're getting.
If it was 8.5, I'll take the under.
They're getting almost all their hard games at home too. Ohio State coming in, Illinois coming in.
Yep.
Oregon at home, even though Oregon. That's tough, but I mean, you never know. You play these home games, and that's a fun environment when they borderline trenches. It's all about Damon Williams, really, because I do think he can quietly be one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the conference. I'll take the over. They got talent.
Yeah,
they got talent offensively. It's about the trenches, but they have a lot of their tough games at home. I'm not saying they'll beat Ohio State or Oregon, but I think Damon Williams and the athleticism intrigues me the most. I might ride with you with somewhere. Maybe you hit that 8-4 mark.
Yep, I'm going over too. Explosive offense, nice pieces in the secondary. Got to get better than trenches on both sides of the ball, but I think over 7.5 is what I'm taking for Washington right now.